Insurgency starts now. This is Rusty Humphries Rebellion Radio.
Well, hello, my brother from another mother. How you doing? My sister from another mister. Hello, welcome. It is the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. We are being brought to you by USA Radio and Trending Today USA.com. Also, our good friends at Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream. I will tell you about them in just a minute. Let me tell you what we have coming up on the program. Chuck Woolery will be here. Speaking of Australian Dream, Chuck Woolery is their official national spokesman. And we're not going to talk about Australian Dream, but Chuck Woolery is from the Wheel of Fortune and Love Connection and has a great podcast called Blunt Force Truth that he does with my friend Mark Young. He's an awesome guy, has some great insights into Hollywood. We'll talk with him coming up in a little bit. Dick Morris will be here. Of course, you know him from, he worked with the Clintons, knows Hillary pretty well, has been on Fox TV and stuff, has a brand new book. We'll talk with him about the debates over the week and everything else. Grover Norquist will be here. He is with Americans for Tax Reform, and he wants to talk a little bit about prison reform and crime reform and why that's important to you. And then, if you ever watched The Apprentice, one of the first bad guys on The Apprentice was Omarosa. And Omarosa is a spokesperson for Donald Trump, and we'll get her take on stuff coming up here on the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. Now, what is the Rusty Humphries Rebellion? First of all, if you've just joined us for the first time, make sure while you're listening that you go to iTunes and you hit that subscribe button, or Stitcher, or wherever else you found this. We sure appreciate you listening, and make sure it comes into your email box every time I do it. I do about one or two a week, sometimes a little bit more. It's just kind of when I'm in the mood and when something strikes me. Had a great trip to Atlanta and to Nashville. I used to live in Atlanta, and if you've never lived there or never been there, man, what a beautiful city. There really is a lot going on in the South. I miss it. I've missed being there and some great barbecue and just great people, and just had a blast. Oh, coming up next week, I can't wait. Dr. Demento. Do you know that name? One of the great radio legends of all time, and a guy who was a huge influence on a lot of comics, comedians, and I'll tell you more about him. Before we get started, let me tell you about Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream. Why? Because it is a product that works. If you have arthritis, pain, or back pain, Australian Dream is the product to get. It's available at all good stores, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS. You look for it. If it's a good store, they'll have it. If it's not a great store, well, turn right around, go some other place. Australian Dream's real medicine. You just put it right on wherever it hurts, and it doesn't burn, doesn't smell, it's not greasy. It just does what it says it's going to do. It works. Gets rid of the pain. Now, if you try it and you don't like it, you're gonna. I just know you will. But if you try and you don't like it, they have an empty jar guarantee. And that means send it back. Use it all up, send it back. They'll give you your money back. But you're not going to do it because Australian Dream works. Again, it's available at Walmart, Walgreens, and other great retailers. It's called Australian Dream. And it's awesome. AustralianDream.com, you can find out more about it. Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream and Australian Dream Back Pain Relief Cream. All right, let's get to the show. Now, if you have not heard the Rusty Humphries Rebellion, what I do is I do a show every day on the USA Radio Network. You can find it at usaradio.com and a lot of stations. We are growing across the country, and thank you for that. But I take some of my favorite interviews over the past couple days and just kind of put them together in one small, easy-to-digest program. No more than 30 minutes, usually, Rusty Humphries Rebellion. Why? Because you don't need to be bombarded with stuff. You're bombarded with so much anyway. I just appreciate you taking a listen, so we give you the best of the best. So let's just get right to work right here on the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. First presidential debate took place between Hillary and Donald Trump. What did you think? Let's go to a great guy. He is tearing it up online. You know him from the Wheel of Fortune. You know him from the Love Connection. Blunt Force Truth is the podcast. It's at number 2 or 3 on iTunes right now. He's kicking it. And now he's got a new beard thing going on. Chuck Woolery, welcome back to Trending Today USA. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Rusty, I'm fine, thank you. How are you? And we're all sleepy-eyed from the debate last night.
I got to tell you, if ever you wanted to commit some kind of a terrorist act or anything, you put that beard back on like you're wearing right now, you're unrecognizable.
Well, you see, I'm really I'm progressing. I'm going to go for an eye patch next. Then I'm going to get a parrot and a peg leg and then an earring.
You know, I have lived by something. And I did not know that you were the one that taught me, but I have lived by what I like to call the New Zoo Review Code of Conduct, and that is, we have fun learning what we don't know.
Yeah, well, sometimes, it's like ever since I got into politics, it's the most depressing thing on earth to do. I never realized it. It's hard to have fun with it, but here I am, and here you are.
Well, you're doing awesome. Okay, so you kind of made a stink on Fox News over the weekend, and it's gone viral. What were you talking about?
I was talking about multiculturalism, which is kind of taking over the country. It's one of these things that you can't recognize it because it's disguised as everything else. It's like everything else the left does. They never tell you what they are. It's Halloween every day. They've got a mask on to disguise who they are and what they're doing. So it's multiculturalism or cultural Marxism is it's kind of one of those things that came from the Frankfurt School, and most people don't even know what that is.
What is it?
Well, it was a group that was started over in Germany at the turn of the century, and they were all Marxists. They became Marxists. They weren't really Marxists then, but they were the ones who kind of promoted Marxist attitudes.
Is that where Hegel taught?
No, Hegel was dead by then.
Okay.
Hegel was dead in like 1875. So these were people who kind of took over Hegel's attitude and his philosophy and built on it. And, political correctness, all that kind of stuff came out of it, all the Marxist things that we know today. And during the Second World War, prior to the Second World War, Hitler was coming down pretty hard on the Marxists and communists in Germany. So they had to move. They had to pick up roots and take off. And so they picked up the school and they moved it to Columbia University in New York. So today, the Marxist Frankfurt School resides in Columbia University in New York City. And that's really where the PC comes from that we know today. And that's just kind of the history of it. But it was their PC attitude of PC was, you can't say anything against the government. If you do, we'll put you in jail and cut your head off and talk to your family really seriously. So that's where it's all moving.
And of course, you think that's the direction we're going? We're going to go if you speak out against the government, all that 1984 kind of stuff?
Yeah, ultimately that's where they go. But, all of this Marxist stuff that's going on today has a very bad end. All you got to do is look at China, look at Russia, look at every place, look at Cuba. And look where it's taken everyone who's been involved in it. Look at Vietnam. It just never stops. Millions of people are slaughtered in the name of Marxism. And, I mean, that's kind of a horrific story and sounds conspiratorial. It could never happen here. But it's happening here, and people need to realize it. Everything that we decided that was conspiratorial in the 50s actually is true. And it's been going on for almost 100 years. And people need to know about it because that's what's undermining our government and our society and our culture.
Mm-hmm. Chuck Woolery is here, bluntforcetruth.com. The podcast is also there, Blunt Force Truth. You can find it on iTunes as well. There was a story that was coming out earlier this week or late last week that Kim Kardashian been talked to by Bruce Caitlin, and she was thinking maybe that she might go for Trump, and I know how, and you're a friend of Bruce, I was a friend of Bruce, we both know how conservative he was and how persuasive he could be, but there's no way she could have done it because of the PC stuff you're talking about, and to stay cool and hip, there's no way she could have gone with Trump.
You can't do that in Hollywood. You really can't unless you want to throw away everything that you've achieved. A few of the people who can do it. John Voight's done it.
But even he is turning into kind of a grouchy old man they kind of make fun of now in Hollywood.
Yeah, Well, you have to because, you just can't work, and that's really what it amounts to. So you're really put in a position in Hollywood where you either go along with the system and conform at least to where they can stand you, or you won't work. I don't care how good you are. I don't care. It's not even a matter of money. It's just a matter of ideology.
Mm-hmm. And it seemed what I have a hard time understanding is 2 years ago, they all loved Trump, all of them. They were dying to get on his TV show. They wanted his money.
No, wait a minute. Whoa. You've got to understand something. It's okay if he's not running for president. Then it's okay if he's running in the primary. But once you get out of the primary and you're running for president, everybody hates you on the left then. They love you until you become a threat. He's a threat now, so now they hate him.
Now he is Satan's son.
Satan's spawn, exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
When in fact,
exactly? Now, what did you think of last night's debate? Did you think it was good, bad, indifferent?
Yeah, I look at it a little differently than probably most people do. I look at it like, pardon me for saying this, like an American citizen. I don't look at it like a pundit. I don't look at it like Washington looks at it, and like the insiders look at it and picking it apart. Yeah, he missed a few hanging curveballs. There's no question about that. But the things that he missed, we already know. When you think about her server and everything that went on with her server, all he was going to do is put an exclamation mark on that, and he did miss that. He missed the Clinton Foundation, but we know about the Clinton Foundation. So he did okay. I think that he missed a few things. I believe that if you look at the polls, although the media will tell you that she won, I don't think she won. I don't think she looked good. I think she was very robotic. That smile that you just couldn't. She had the John McCain smile on her face through the whole thing. She was arrogant, I think, and so it was a matter of Donald Trump introducing himself in a presidential way. He did not commit any gaffes. He didn't bury her, but I don't think he needed to, and I think he will continue to move ahead and gain momentum.
All right, what are you guys working on bluntforcetruth.com?
Well, we're developing over the next few months. We're going to develop Trump. We're going to work on that a little bit, and we're going to work on this cultural Marxism to try to define it and put a finer point on it, so that people understand it, and so it becomes less conspiratorial and more real to them, and they can see it by demonstration in our culture what exactly the left is trying to achieve and how they're going about it. In fact, they are achieving it, and how they're going about it.
Well, I'm just glad that when you were gone and they had me fill in for you that you didn't lose
the
the
entire
entire
job.
audience.
Obviously, you're wonderful at what you do. I'm not a radio guy. I'm a TV guy, but I'm trying my best in radio. It's a little bit different medium.
It's the thing about radio is that you're talking to one person. Where television, you're talking to everybody.
Yeah, I must say that when I did television, then that'll give me a little bit of an edge because I always consider the camera one person. And that's who I talked to when I was speaking to the camera. Of course, a lot of television is off camera. It's kind of overhearing your conversation and listening to it and feeling like you're getting in on something that two people are talking about. But then there were times when I would go to camera, and that was my guy.
Yes,
I was talking to people.
But Chuck, when you were talking to the camera, were you making love to the camera? Were you making beautiful, sweet love to the camera? That's make beautiful love to the camera, Chuck. Do it for me. Do it. All right, Chuck Woolery. Hey, buddy, you're awesome. I love you. It's always great to have you on the program. Blunt Force Truth with you and Mark Young is a great show, and I really suggest people go to bluntforcetruth.com. You can also find it at iTunes, Stitcher, and all over the place. How's the fishing?
Fishing's great. It's just coming into fall, and boy, the big ones are out, so I'm going out to get them.
And the barbecue down the street, how's that?
Well, my girlfriend has probably the top 5 barbecue in Texas called Opie's out of Spicewood, and you can't beat their brisket.
I know. I keep trying. I keep waiting for my invite. I'm coming down.
We
someday.
have to listen. We all have to get together and have a meeting at Opie's because you'll go crazy. Her barbecue is out of this world. She's just really got an incredible business going out there, and I'm very proud of her.
Don't tease me. Do not tease me, Chuck Woolery. All right, brother, man. Thank you very much. That's Chuck Woolery. Great guy. Go check out the website and the great show, bluntforcetruth.com. Okay, big debate last night. Really? Yes, there was a big debate last night. Dick Morris is here. He's got a brand new book. It's been out for a little while. It's awesome. It's called Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary. Was last night a good example or a bad example if Trump can beat Hillary, Dick?
Oh, Trump needs to go back and read my book and follow it page by page. He just totally left his act on the cutting room floor.
All right, what would you be telling him today?
Well, I tell him that how can you expect to win a debate with Hillary when in 98 minutes you never mention the following words: Clinton Foundation, deleted emails, the Benghazi IRS scandal, pay for play. When you don't get into any of the issues, or FBI, immunity, he absolutely let her get away with everything.
What do you think he was thinking?
And I think that it was ridiculous when he came up, when he was asked by Holt, what would you do about stopping crimes like the New York City bombing? Mm-hmm. He didn't talk about Muslim immigration. The guy who did that was an Afghani immigrant. When she was asked about cybersecurity, he let her give this peon to cybersecurity without saying, "Hey, lady, how about your own emails?" When she criticized him for insulting women, he didn't come back and say, "Well, I may have said some unfortunate things, perhaps in jest, but you deployed private detectives to investigate women and ruin their lives so that they won't tell the truth about their relationships with your husband." I mean, there was just so much left on the floor there. Mm-hmm. And look, he's a very self-confident guy, and I think he's arrogant. I think he's conceited, and I think he felt that he knew better. And he didn't realize that when you go into a debate like this, you have to have a list in your mind of the 10 things you're going to talk about and make sure that you make each of those points. And then as you make them, check them off and spend all your time in the debate looking for an opening to make that point. And now I can make the next point. And Holt gave him plenty of openings to do that. He just didn't exploit them. Oh. And I kept waiting for the punch to land, and it never did. It was a pathetic performance.
See, you're with me. I didn't think it was a very good debate at all, and I didn't think I could dislike Hillary Clinton more. I was wrong. I just couldn't stand her up there.
Yeah, but she was very effective. She snookered him. I think that she and everybody talked about how Trump had to be have good temperament and judgment, and be presidential and be dignified. And he pulled his punches in response, and she didn't pull hers. And she constantly threw him off, constantly put him on the defensive. She knew that whenever she attacked him, he would answer, and she knew that she could consume 70% of the debate time with his defensive answers by simply increasing the attacks. She knew that he was a master at rebuttal, but not at counterpunching. And I just think it was, he needed to listen to experts.
Can he turn it around for the next 2 debates, or is that the only one?
Yeah, he can, because I don't think the damage he did to himself was that profound. He did come across as dignified. I think he did make a bunch of good points. I thought he was particularly good in the opening segment about foreign trade and NAFTA and Hillary's involvement in all that, and jobs. And I think he was very good in the third segment about race and crime, where he described crime as primarily a danger that affects African Americans. But then when he got mixed up in the whole birther thing, and then 4 times saying, "Ask Sean Hannity," as proof that he was against the Iraq War, he could simply have said, "Look, I gave an interview to Howard Stern, which is not a very serious show. And in jest and lightly, I talked about the possibility of our going to war there. But then when it materialized, when it was serious, when Bush introduced the resolution, I wrote a lengthy article, I think it was in Vanity Fair, opposing it. And around the same time, Hillary marched into the Senate and voted for it. So there clearly is a difference there."
And I listened to that Howard Stern clip, and I'm sure you have too. That didn't sound like an endorsement for the Iraq War. He said, "Do you support the war?" He goes, I guess so.
Yeah. I mean, it was a year before anybody was seriously talking about it. So I think that it was really a terrible performance. But I do believe that ultimately he made some good points. Ultimately he acted well in presidential. I think that she hurt him over his business practices and over income taxes. And I was itching for him to come back at her and say, "Listen, I'm a private businessman, and I take risks. And sometimes they work out, and I pay my people well. Sometimes they don't, and I had to go into bankruptcy in some of these casinos. But you have been sheltered by the taxpayers for 40 years, always paid by the public payroll, and you never had to worry about any of this stuff.
Well,
so it comes with ill grace
right,
for you to criticize me for what I did in the private sector.
And how, again, did you amass $100 million? What did you sell again? Can you please tell us how you did that?
$100,000.
No, him for $100 million. That's her and Bill have made that over since he's been out of office, right?
$238 million.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've undercut that. Sorry. So how do you make $238 million? Because we'd all love to know.
Exactly. So, I mean, it was just a pathetic performance. I think he'll get a do-over on October 9th. I can't wait. But oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's awful.
There were so many pulls, punches. And you know, in Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary, it's been on the bestseller list for 8 weeks, I'm proud to say. And you talk about and we
her,
give a list of the 10 things he has to talk about in each debate. And he just needs to read the damn thing.
Wait, I'll bet you'd even give one for free.
Yeah, I did, actually.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
And I'm taking a look at the book right now and the stuff that you talked about. When did you write this book?
Well, Eileen and I wrote it in December and January, before there was any indication of who the nominee would be.
Well,
but we left it open because we didn't know.
I mean, you take a look at this.
We had to write it in 2 weeks in early May.
Oh my gosh!
To get it out at the end of June.
Well, I mean, you take a look at just the chapters in here, and it's you predicted, the things that we were going to be talking about. You were 100% accurate.
Trump has done a great job of following the text in this book. I've been thrilled by it, but oh my God, he didn't last night.
So you think he should have been tough and snarky and have a little name for Hillary, maybe?
Let's back up and let's understand one fundamental fact. You may not like her, but if Hillary were not faced with these blatant corruption scandals, not faced with the email scandal where she hid all this stuff, had not screwed up in Benghazi, if she were free of those negatives, she'd waltz into the office right now. The reason that she may not win is because of those scandals, and you cannot debate her without bringing those up.
But is it that? For me, it is something. This is a woman that has lusted after power for so long.
Yeah,
I don't want to give somebody who's lusted after that much.
Do you ever watch House of Cards?
Sure.
Yeah, Claire Underwood.
Yeah, but not as good looking.
Minus the sex.
Yeah. Well, the sex is on Bill's part. Hey, thanks for coming. So should he? What did you think about him saying, "I'm going to bring in Jennifer Flowers"?
I thought that was good. He didn't do it though.
I know.
Yeah.
I would have brought them all in. I would have had a line of 9 or 10 women in there.
Yeah, sure.
But and again, she can bring in Mark Cuban, and that's okay. Donald Trump can't bring in.
Yeah.
I don't understand the double standard. Do you?
Yep. Well, the double standard was so evident. No cheering, no clapping, except when it's Hillary's turn.
Right, exactly. Did you think Lester Holt did a bad job?
I thought he did a fine job.
Okay.
It's Holt Trump that didn't do a good job. He gave him plenty of openings. I think he followed the line of argument in the debate well. He didn't ask her an explicit question about emails or about the FBI, and he did ask Donald an explicit question about birther and the tax returns. But still, I think there was a little bit of a bias. And
what about the false racism allegations? I mean, she came out and just basically called him a racist. And
yeah, well, that was up to Donald to debunk, and he didn't. He should have had a stat there that said, of the people that work in my company at executive white-collar jobs, 21% are African-American, 7 or 8% are Latino, and of the people who work for me who are paid more than $100,000 a year, 18% of them are African-American. And I challenge you, Mrs. Clinton, to give me the similar statistics for the State Department.
Name of the book is Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary. Dick Morris is here. Do you have a website you want people to go to, Dick?
Well, dickmorris.com and my Facebook page, which is Dick Morris.
All right. It is always a pleasure, my friend. The book is
Thank
great.
You, Rusty.
Thanks. Let's talk again soon. That's Dick Morris. He's awesome. And go buy that book, if you would please. I did not know that Omarosa was going to be here. I just found Omarosa. I apologize. Welcome to Trending Today USA. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Well, I'm very embarrassed that I didn't hurry things along and get to write to you. I had no idea.
No worries.
I've been a fan of you. I've been a fan of yours since that first Apprentice.
You know, that's been 13 years ago.
Man, I'm getting old. Not you, of course. And boy, did they made you look mean. You're not that mean, are you? Because now I'm scared.
When there was $1 million on the table for a game show with 16 people, I was very mean.
Give me that money.
If there was $1 million on the table with us right now, I'd be very mean. No, it was a game show, and I wasn't there to be a beauty queen or, be Miss Congeniality. I was there to be the best business person. And a lot of my behaviors, I emulated Donald. Donald's tough, and he expects his apprentice to be tough. So.
Yeah, but he hates black people, so I don't even know why you talk to him. That's what I hear on TV.
Yeah, people say that, but, he obviously doesn't. But more importantly, he and I have been friends for a very long time. He's been an incredible mentor. And, the one thing about Donald I can say in my own personal life is he's invested in me and my talents. He wrote a blank check so he could produce a show for me, a spinoff from The Apprentice called The Ultimate Merger. And I got to work with him for 2 years through Trump Productions. And he was nothing but a consummate professional and incredibly.
So that was before he became a racist then, right?
No, I think it's before he decided to run for president.
Exactly.
And then they started throwing all these unfounded accusations towards him. Donald Trump, of course, is not a racist, a misogynist, whatever they throw at him. It's not working because the will of the people will prevail. And clearly the will of the people is that they want Donald Trump as president, which is why he is leading in the polls.
Hey, Omarosa, can you stick around for the next break? Can I talk to you again, or do you have to take off? Because I'd like to spend a little bit more time with you, if that's okay. Or do you?
I certainly can. I can hold, but I'll have a conference call going on the other line, so don't worry. I'll hold, but I certainly want to talk to you.
Okay, go. We got the commercials, our Profit Center timeout. We'll come back to Omarosa. She's awesome. She was on the Apprentice, and she's on Donald Trump's presidential campaign team. Omarosa is back. She was once a contestant on The Apprentice. She's now the director of African American outreach for Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Omarosa, thank you for sticking around. I sure appreciate that.
No worries at all. I'm glad to chat with you and your listeners after such a big day at the debate, and Donald's doing such a great job.
Let me ask you this. You've done TV. You understand the idea of optics. Hillary is doing a speech in Raleigh, North Carolina, and right behind her on her right is this young girl, and she is blubbering in tears at the greatness of what she's seeing. I got $10. That's a paid plant. They did it with Elvis.
I think I have to tell you,
yeah.
It's pretty inspiring to have a woman to, rise to the level that Hillary has. But I just think that when you have a woman like this, you would expect that her character would match the occasion. A woman that can tell the truth. A woman who would know the difference between a classified email and a non-classified email. A woman who would know that it's not right to put our national security at risk by putting a server in the basement of her home or having her staff destroy devices with hammers. I mean, I think it's very historic, but you have to have a woman who is decent and honest and truthful, and that does not sound like the type of role model that anyone would want for their children. And so I think I'm glad that this young woman is inspired, but we also have to teach our children character and about integrity and about honesty.
Did you like Obama? Did you vote for him?
I did. I talk very openly about being one of those people who grew up in a home of Democrats. African American community has been supporting the Democratic Party, 90% of African Americans, and I was a part of that tradition. My mama, my grandmama, it's generational. But when you know better, you do better. And I've looked at what's happened in my community. I grew up in Ohio, in Youngstown, Ohio. We used to have steel mills. We used to have jobs. We used to have a car plant. All of that is gone. And we have not improved under Democratic mayor, Democratic, leadership, Democratic policies, a Democratic president. And so we were sold a bill of goods. I mean, the Democratic Party has not been loyal to the African-American community, even though the African community has been extremely loyal to them.
Are people in the African American community listening to your message about that? I mean, he's done a great job reaching out, but if people aren't listening, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, you know what? It is. The message is resonating, and we see her support among African Americans drop for the first time under. Here's my conference call. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Hi, I'm here. I'm sorry, this is the boss. I got to jump off.
You got to take that. All right. Omarosa, thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, bye-bye. FBI says the number of murders reported by local law enforcement agencies jumped by roughly 10% in 2015 from the year before. New crime statistics released show an estimated number of murders in the nation was about 15,696, or a 10.8% jump from the 2014 estimates. Grover Norquist is here. He's the president of Americans for Tax Reform, which is a part of the U.S. Justice Action Network. Grover, welcome back to Trending Today USA. How are you?
Hey, Rusty. I'm doing well. Good to be with you.
How long, what is this U.S. Justice Action Network, and how long has that been involved with the Americans for Tax Reform?
Well, Americans for Tax Reform has been active with Right on Crime, which is a collection of conservative groups, Ed Meese, Newt Gingrich, Freedom Works, where we're trying to take a look at how to reform prisons, criminal justice reform, in the same way that you'd look at welfare or education. You know, are we getting our dollars worth? What's happening? Are there better ways to do this? Are we doing some things because we've always done it that way? And Right on Crime and the individual groups have gotten together with a broad center-right group to say, what can Republicans and Democrats in Congress agree on? Can we get rid of civil asset forfeiture, where the government takes your car and the money in your car and says, we think you're a drug dealer, so we take all this stuff. We may never charge you with anything. We may never convict you with anything, but if you want your money back, you have to sue to get your money back.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Okay, that's got to go. I know it was put in with good intentions because they didn't want criminals who had stolen a bunch of money to use that money to hire lawyers, right?
Right.
That's fine, but there needs to be a conviction attached to taking people's money permanently. And if you don't even get charged, you don't get your money back. So there's some real abuses here. The state that's done it best is New Mexico. One, you got to get convicted before they take your stuff.
Okay.
Permanently take your stuff. Two, if they take your stuff, the money does not go to the local sheriff, which it does in too many cases, which gives you a rather odd set of incentives. It goes to the general fund. So you don't get it, but it doesn't go to the cop who takes it. If it does go to the cop who takes it, when he's making a judgment call, should I take this money or not?
Right.
The tie goes to the house. So there are a number of reforms. Some questions, how long do some people need to be in prison? There is a 40-year sentence an improvement over a 30-year sentence if what you're trying to do is keep somebody from mugging people. And what can we do to make it less? It costs $25,000 to put someone in prison for a year in Florida, $50,000 to put somebody in prison for a year in California.
Why so much?
Prison guards unionized.
Okay.
Very expensive. And then court decisions that say everybody's got to have this, and this, and this, and you're being mean to people if they don't have X, Y, and Z, which they may not have had at home.
Right.
But now that they're in prison, they got it.
All right,
It's a combination of judges being left-wing crazy and labor unions being aggressive.
All right, Grover Norquist is here. He's the president for Americans for Tax Reform. Let's talk about taxes. You were not a big Donald Trump supporter at first. Is that correct to say?
That is a fair comment,
okay.
Yeah.
Are you supporting him now or no?
I am an enthusiast for his tax proposal,
okay,
taking the corporate rate from 35 to 15. That is a great proposal. His personal tax cuts are very strong. If we enact Trump's tax proposal, which is almost identical to the Republican House and Senate proposal, so we're not talking about something odd. If he's elected, this will pass. We would take growth from 2% a year to 4% a year.
But Hillary said in the debate, though, that we'd lose all these jobs and the Trumple down economics or whatever she said, that we'd be in big trouble if we followed him.
Well, she actually said that there was some independent group which said her plan was better. She didn't give you the name of it. My guess is it's a labor union funded group, which says if the government spends more money, we all get rich under Keynesian. I have seen her proposal. It's a massive tax increase. It's a massive spending increase. There's nothing in her plan that would increase growth. The Trump plan, which actually has been independently scored, scores by independent firms that do this, working with Congress, and it scores as tremendous, strong economic growth.
And you looked into it yourself, and you think it's okay?
Oh, yeah. One thing to keep in mind, there's two new things that he did. Ever since Reagan, we've been cutting the individual rates, important to do, but not the corporate rates. And our corporate rate's 35. The European average is 25. Ireland is 12.5. We've allowed our corporate business taxes to get way out of whack with our competitors. And it's huge. I am listening to the guy. It's a big deal to get that rate down to 15, as Trump wants, and also to do full immediate expensing. If you buy equipment to make workers more productive, it should be expensed that year, not depreciated over 5, 10, or 20 years. Tremendously reduces the cost of new business investment. That's a very powerful pro-growth position.
All right, I'm on your website, atr.org. Grover Norquist is here. One of the things you guys talk about is Hillary's death tax hypocrisy. She's talking about 65% for a death tax?
She is, Rusty. That's absolutely crazy. And I unfortunately have to run at this end.
Okay. All right, we'll end it with that one. Grover Norquist, Americans for Tax Reform. There you go. That is the latest edition of the Rusty Humphries Rebellion. Make sure you check us out, would you please, online at usaradio.com and at trendingtodayyusa.com and on Facebook at Trending Today USA with Rusty Humphries and on my own personal Facebook page. It's Talk 2 Rusty. Talk to Rusty. Also, when you get a chance, please go and like this podcast and share it. Tell your friends about it. It's a lot of fun. I sure appreciate you checking us out. I also appreciate our great sponsor, Australian Dream Arthritis Pain Relief Cream. It's good stuff. Go check them out. That's it. We'll see you next time. May God bless you. May God bless America. This is the Rusty Humphries Rebellion.